and and uh, he or she talks about how they used to be married, but the other spouse has no, they have no interest in the property. They've never spent any money on the property, so they don't deserve any of the property. That may be true, may not be true, but a lot of times I've seen scenarios like that where there's a divorce decree that says that the other spouse does get something from the property. So bring that up, and just ask questions if there's a divorce situation. Ask if there's a divorce decree. If the property's in a trust, for example, I had one today. The agent did tell me that one of the parties of the trust had passed away. So as I'm talking to the one of the parties, I was asking about questions here and there, and he's like, "Oh yeah, my wife passed away." So wasn't a big deal, but you just need to ask a lot of questions. Just I've had a few files about that, items came and kind of slowed things down: bankruptcy, death, divorce. Those seems to be the ones that people might feel embarrassed about, like bankruptcy or a divorce of some sort, or maybe they don't know the effects of uh, death as far as on title. So it's always good to ask questions. If you have any questions like who's on title, you're always welcome to reach out to me, and I can take a quick look at the county and get you that information. But again, I had one today where someone had passed away, and we just had to kind of go down not a completely different road, but a different path to get the right paperwork.
Awesome. Thank you. So yes, when dealing with the seller, definitely make sure we know who the seller is. I have a question on that somebody asked me today. So when there's a trust and say there's 17 children, which was the exact scenario, but 17 children in the trust, one of the kids is not being contacted at all, and they're putting the house up for sale. So is it possible that there's one person in that trust who's responsible for it all and they don't have to have permission from everybody else?
Yeah, so most likely there's the trust, and you have either one or two successor trustees or trustees who can sign and make decisions for the trust.
Okay.
Within the trust, you probably have beneficiaries, and that's probably where the 17 comes in, where there's beneficiaries to the assets of the trust. So I've only had up to 3 people sign as trustees of a trust. I've never had that. So in that scenario, my guess is you have 1 or 2 trustees, and then there's beneficiaries of the trust. So that trustee, it's up to them to disperse the trust the way the trust specifies. So, all 17, all 16, whatever they decide. But most likely you're just going to have 1 or 2 signers for the trust.
Okay. And is that something you can see on title, or you would only be able to verify that with the trust documents?
I guess yes to both. So for example, the scenario I had today, I can look at the county, I can look at the vesting deed, and it had Kevin and Tanya X as the trustees of the X family trust. So I reached out to him and talked to him, and I said, "Hey, I just need to get a copy of your certificate of trust or verification of trust, just so I can see, make sure that you and your wife can sign for the trust, even though it's probably pretty obvious." And that's when he informed me, "Oh, my wife has passed away." And so then again, I just went down a different path, asked for different documents, copy of the death certificate, etc. So most likely you can look at the county and see if the parties who are listed on the county as trustees passed the trust, who are the successor trustees.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Yes, that was an interesting question. I'm like, I don't think I've ever had 17 signers on one thing. So that was my guess. I just wanted to confirm since I had you.
Yep, no problem.
Awesome. Any other title questions in relation to sellers that we'll be talking about tonight? Okay, awesome. Well, tonight we're just basically going to be talking about different ways that you can go out and get sellers. So I do have a few bullet points that I'm going to go over and cover, but really it's just good mastermind. I'd love for you guys to chime in here. Anybody who has worked with sellers, kind of how you've gotten them, any other ideas on how you can get them. But I'm just going to go over a few of my points on how you can get those. So let me pull this up really quick. We've basically already talked about that. I always like to remind you guys kind of at the beginning of this, what are 5 jobs of a realtor? So I do think it's easy to forget because there's so many things we could be doing. So just kind of our 5 main points of being a realtor. So number 1, obviously, is lead generate, relationship building, whatever you want to call it. But really it just is get out there and generate leads. So tonight we'll be talking about sellers. Our second job would be to follow up on the leads. So sometimes I do tell people I feel like it's fairly easy to generate a lot of leads. I feel like one of the toughest parts is actually following up on the leads because sometimes, totally guilty. I'm not super patient when it comes to that. If somebody wants to make a move and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be selling, in a year or 2 years from now, I'm like, okay, where's the next person who's willing to sell now? When really those leads are just as important. And as long as we're following up on them, we will turn them into actual clients. So lead follow-up is our number 2 job. Going on appointments. So we definitely want to be going on appointments. That's the ultimate goal. So any kind of lead generation you're doing, the goal of that is to get an appointment. So whatever you need to do to get that appointment, we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. Number 4 is negotiating contracts. So obviously that's super important. That's how we're going to get things under contract and moved on to a closing. And then number 5 is script and role play. So I do feel like that's another one that we kind of forget is a job that we actually have that we should be doing every single day. So lead generate, lead follow up, go on appointments, negotiate contracts, script and role play. So we just want to be an expert in our field, right? So we need to practice what we're saying. It makes us more confident, more likely to book an appointment, more likely to go out and talk to people about getting leads if we know what to say. So script and role play. Ways to get sellers. So these are just a few ideas that I came up with. Real estate is very simple, not easy, but very simple. So we just need to go out and talk to enough people till we can generate those leads, generate, somebody who's looking to buy or sell. So it doesn't really matter how we're doing that, but the key to the game is just talking to people. So a couple thoughts I had on how to specifically talk to sellers. Obviously, your SOI. That's going to be one of the best ways. Any top producer you talk to, they're going to tell you that most of their business is coming from their SOI. So we'll talk a little bit about ways that you can work with your SOI to generate leads. But some thoughts just right off the top of my head are number 1, building that database, making sure you are working from a database. Our goal is the 201 201 club, which can generate about a 10% return on your database if you are marketing properly. So one of those marketing properly is that 36 touch. So communicating with them at least 3 times a month. And one of my very favorite ways to do that is through the monthly neighborhood smart plan. So the neighborhood smart plan, if you haven't seen it, hopefully you're all set up on that yourself. If you're not, that's your first to-do list from tonight's class is add yourself as a contact. And we want to make sure that you're added yourself, your address is in there, and then you've added yourself to the monthly neighborhood smart plan. If you don't know how to do that, please let me know. I'm happy to show you guys tonight. It just takes a few minutes, so it's not hard at all. But that's one of the best ways. So the monthly smart plan, that is going to send them a nice marketing email every single month. And you can actually set it up to where it's going bi-weekly. So if you have, a seller lead or somebody who has said they want to make a move quickly, then I would do the bi-weekly one. So they're getting it every other week. And that way they're just seeing what's happening in the neighborhood. They can see their neighbors' houses, which a lot of times people are just super curious about that. So getting your SOI set up on that, you can see what they're looking at, and it's going to give you a good indication of, they start looking at their neighborhood a lot, that they may be thinking about selling. So any questions on that? Has anybody tried and not been able to do that? And would anybody like me to show you how to do that right now?
If you can show us, that'd be great.
Awesome. I will do that. Let me show you really quickly. So basically you're going to, I need to share my screen. We're going to exit out of this. And you're going to go into command. And you're going to put yourself in as a contact if you have not already. So I'll just go into my contact card. So you're going to add yourself as a contact right over here. I'm already added, so I'm just going to search for myself and pull this up. And the key to the neighborhood smart plan is you want to come down here and make sure that you've added an address. So if anybody in your SOI does not have an address in here, this isn't going to work. So you're going to need a property address and an email to make this work. So the cool thing is when you add an address onto a contact card, it's automatically going to assign a neighborhood. So you can see here the neighborhood that the system suggested is Daybreak Founders Park, and that's where I live. So it's accurate, which is awesome. So then what I do is as long as it has assigned a neighborhood, I'm going to go down here and just preview it. I like to preview the neighborhood that the system has chosen for me before I set it up on the smart plan. So I'm going to preview it. This is the website that they will be given every single month, and it's going to, it gives them lots of cool stuff. Nothing you have to create, you just have to turn it on. So what I'm looking for when I'm previewing this is I just want to make sure that there's activity. So you can see this blue box right here. It's not a box, but perimeter, I guess you'd say. So you can see that. I just want to make sure there's activity in here. If I were to preview this and this box was empty, I'm going to add neighborhoods around it so that I can at least send them something. So the system will not send them anything if there's no properties, no activity happening. But just since we're in here, if you haven't seen it, this is what they get. So they can click on a property, they can get all the information that they want. They can look at, the houses, they can come down, they can see like this one had a price drop. So they're getting a lot of information. They can see estimated payment, property description, property details. They can go through and they can kind of do this mortgage calculator. So it just gives them a lot of value. They can play around in it. They can say, I only want to put 5% down. Interest rates are higher than that. And, calculate all of it. So shows them taxes. It'll show them the schools. So it's definitely something of value that, in my opinion, is going to get people interested in selling their house. So going back here, I previewed it. I made sure it was okay. So then you're going to go over here to Smart Plan, and you're going to add to Smart Plan. And I have a lot in here. If you don't have a lot, you can add them from your library of Smart Plans, but you should have it in here. This is one of the most common ones. So you can just type the word monthly if you want it to go monthly, or you can do biweekly. And then you're going to see this monthly neighborhood. So you're just going to select it. And I'm already on it, so I'm not going to have mine start. But it'll say, when do you want it to start? I would say start now, because right now we're just doing it for you. Have the disclaimer and hit confirm. Once you hit confirm, then it is going to send them that monthly neighborhood. So you can start it today, or say that you already sent out emails today. So you're like, I really don't want them to get another one today. You can schedule it. If I go into my email, I just want to show you what it looks like. So it comes through and it's going to say monthly neighborhood update. So they'll get this every single month. It's going to have whatever logo you've uploaded in there. It's going to have whatever photo and contact info that you've uploaded into command. And then this is basically what it shows them. So they can click on anything in here and it will take them to that website I just showed you. So they can click on the map if they like that. They can see kind of what's going on. They can click on each individual property if they want. So there's just a lot of information that you get to send them. And all it took you was adding them to your command and just turning on that smart plan. Any questions on that? I know it's kind of fast, so if I go too fast, let me know.
I have a really quick question.
Okay.
If you have rental properties and you kind of want to see what the areas are doing, how would you go about doing that? I mean, I have 2 adult sons. Do I maybe add them on as like, that's their property, and maybe one for my husband, things like that?
It's a really good idea. You can definitely add it to other contacts. Other things you can do is you can add additional neighborhoods. So like you can see here in my contact card, and it's mostly because I'm training you guys, you can see these other neighborhoods are on here. So I'll show you, you can add a neighborhood, you can search for a neighborhood, or you can find it on a map. So you could put an address in here of your investment property, or you could come in here and find it on a map. So we could search like, I don't know where we would want to go. Let's just say Sandy.
You can go Pleasant Grove.
And you do want to let the system kind of pick for you, because we want Google to find this. This is giving us like a lot of different Pleasant Road Boulevard. I don't know if it'd be around one of those. So you can come in here and get kind of close. And then what you're going to do is just zoom in. So every one of these green dots is a neighborhood. So if you know kind of where yours is, like based on these locations or street addresses, you could pick the neighborhood. So now this neighborhood right here, Pleasant Springs, is now part of my monthly neighborhood. So when I receive this, that neighborhood is actually going to show. So if I click on preview, nope, it's at the top. Let's see, they just switched how this works. Hold on one second. So you need to flip to the next neighborhood. Well, how do we get to your other neighborhood? Properties in Daybreak. Oh, right here. So other neighborhoods. Oh, no, these are nearby ones. I don't know where your Pleasant Grove neighborhood just went. Let's see.
And we can go over it another time too.
Yeah, it's normally pretty easy. There's just like an arrow that gets you to the next neighborhood that you've subscribed to. Market snaps. They're constantly updating these, so nope, that's still, I will have to look at that. But another way you could do it, you could click on here. Oh, let's see if this is the right arrow. No. Because it will be sending them more than one neighborhood. Oh, maybe it's because I'm not signed in on my website. I'll have to play on that and figure out why that other neighborhood's not showing up. Normally it's got to be because we're not logged in. But your clients don't have to log in. That's the weird thing. I'm wondering if it's because I'm an agent. But normally there's just an arrow right here and you click on it and it will just swipe through the neighborhoods that you've sent them. So I'm missing a button on there somewhere, but I'm just wondering if it's because it's logging into my own command and not the consumer one. But that would be one way you could do it. You can also add a neighborhood straight from here. So they can do that as well. Once they log in, they can add neighborhoods. So even if they were like a buyer, they could say, I want to know what's happening in my neighborhood that I'm selling. And I also would be interested in knowing what's happening in a neighborhood that I'd be interested in buying in. So that's how you add additional neighborhoods, or I would do that as well. So like clicking on a map of the actual neighborhood, if there were no properties in there, I would do the same thing. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to pick neighborhoods around it. So if there was nothing happening here, I would click on these. And you can see that's what I've done in this contact card. Just so we have enough properties that when it does go out, it's going to send them some information. Good question. Any other questions on how to do this? How to get that set up? That's one of my favorite things as far as like trying to communicate with somebody who's potentially going to be a seller, is that neighborhood smart plan. So other ways, so SOI, other good ways of doing that is just offering to do CMAs. So you want to get really good at doing CMAs because really it comes down to whether or not they can sell, what numbers make sense for them. So other things you could do with your SOI is offer free CMAs. And I wouldn't call them CMAs because most of the time they don't know what that means. So I would just offer, hey, has anybody told you recently what your home is worth? And offer to do that. I have a post on here that you can put on social media that says, give me your zip code and I'll give you a range of values, or give me your address, whatever information you want to get, but you want to offer free home evaluations. And that way you kind of get an idea of who's really interested and why they're interested in knowing. Other things that we've done to generate seller leads through your SOI is sending out emails, and you can do that through command that basically says, I'm spending 2 to 3 hours this week just creating home evaluations. Would you like one? We did this a couple months ago, and I got 6 people to respond to me, and one of those is still thinking about selling their house. So within probably the next couple months, I will have gotten a listing out of that one email. So it's just a good indicator when they're asking for the value of their home. There's usually a reason that they're asking for the value of their home. What else? I mean, like as far as SOI, like events are a really good way to get in front of sellers. Just anything that you can do, staying in front of them on social media is really good. Targeting those sellers through, your messaging through social media is a really good way to stay in contact with your SOI to generate seller leads. Any other thoughts or anything else you guys can think of that you would do with your SOI to generate seller leads? Anything else that's worked for you? Okay, we'll move on. So phone calls. Phone calls are also a really good way to pick up seller leads. So this could be what we call circle calling. So you could circle around another listing and just basically be calling and saying, and we do have scripts for all of this. So something like, we just listed a home in your neighborhood. We're going to be doing an open house this weekend. We're expecting it to go quickly. Have you yourself thought of selling? So you're just changing your messaging towards that seller. A really good circle call is to call them after it goes under contract. Hey, we just did our open house this weekend. We actually got an offer on the house and we have people who are still interested. Have you thought about selling your home? So circle calls are really good for around just listed, just sold, open houses. So really pretty much any messaging that you're getting as far as a reason to call them. And then you just go into the scripting like, how long have you lived here? Have you yourself thought about moving? If you were to move, where would you go next? And I do have all those questions kind of outlined in this too, so you can copy those down. Elise, did you have a question?
Nope,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. I thought that I saw that you came off mute. So phone calls. Phone calls are a really good way. Cold calling, it's a numbers game. So you're just looking for that person to say yes. You are going to make quite a few calls to get that seller. And sometimes you'll call and they'll be like, how did you know? So just give it a try. Door knocking is also a really good way to go out and get seller leads. So I always like to go, whether it be the phone call or whether it be door knocking, I always like to go with a message. So same concept. You could be telling them about a neighbor's house that was just listed. You could be telling them about a neighbor's house that just sold, neighbor's house that just went under contract. When you do get buyers, or we as a team, we always have a lot of buyers, right? Or people looking. You could go door knock through a neighborhood and say, we have buyers in this area. Have you thought about selling? And then going through the questions. So door knocking is a really good way to pick up leads as well for sellers. Open houses, we talk a lot about open houses. So typically with the open house, you are getting multiple people coming in, and it's going to be either they're coming in for themselves or they're a neighbor who's coming in to check out the neighbor's house because they're interested in selling. So when I'm doing open houses, I'm always asking, like, are you looking for yourself or someone else? And then that's usually when they tell me, oh, I'm just the neighbor. I just saw your sign. I was down here. And then I'm like, oh, no problem. How's it going? How long have you lived here? Have you yourself thought of making a move? And kind of switching the conversation to making it more of a seller message. But open houses are a really good way. Right now, I mean, one thing I should put on here is buyers are a really good way to get sellers. So a lot of buyers right now are actually, they have to become a seller in order to buy. So don't forget to ask your buyers if they have a home to sell first, because a lot of times they do. right now where a lot of people have equity and they have, you know, they need down payments on the new house, that a lot of buyers can actually become sellers. So a lot of times I think we think open houses are just for buyers, but it's actually for sellers too. Any thoughts on like open houses? I know a lot of you guys are getting out there and starting to do some open houses. And have you had any of those conversations where somebody comes in and they're interested in selling as well? No? Okay. Social media. So we talked a little bit about that. Social media is a great way to pick up sellers. I can tell you that a lot of my business has come from social media, and sometimes it's not direct. So it's hard to know if social media is working. I really do try to, when I'm doing any kind of marketing, have my messaging be more towards sellers. So my messaging really is offering, you know, the home evaluations, offering, you know, letting them know how quickly other homes are selling, letting them know the story of, you know, hey, we got multiple offers this weekend. We listed and sold a home above list price. So whatever the story is, you just want to be able to gear it more towards sellers than buyers. If you're putting a lot of social media messaging that's, you know, more about like interest rates and down payments and loan programs, that is going to be a little bit more geared towards the buyer. So your messaging just needs to be a little bit more towards the seller, or both. Because like I said, buyers right now are becoming sellers as well. I'm helping a lot of people do that, sell a home first before they can buy another one. So it's kind of a twofer. That's why we like listings, honestly. Listings, we say listings are leverage because they should turn into two deals. So either that seller's going to turn into a buyer, or the buyer you meet is going to turn into a seller, or they're going to give you a referral of somebody else throughout the process. So listings are very valuable. Let's see, networking. Networking is a really good way to pick up listings too. So you want to kind of think about your other professionals that you would be working with. So as an example, I used to work with a property manager pretty regularly, and I was able to pick up a lot of listings through that property manager. So they were able to kind of know what investors were looking to get rid of their investment properties, or, you know, they're moving to another state and they just don't want to deal with their properties in Utah anymore. So working hand in hand with a property manager has really helped me pick up listings. Sadly, like divorce attorneys, I was able to pick up listings that way, bankruptcy attorneys. So I kind of think of all those business professionals that I can network with that would be, you know, they're going to be around the people who need to sell as well. So really any kind of networking. You could be networking with a hairdresser who's around a lot of people. You could be networking with your insurance agent. So kind of think where your money is going. Where do you spend your money? Those people really you should have a good business to business relationship with, where you're able to pick up more deals from them. So networking is a big way to do that. And then the golden letters. So I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about the golden letters, and we do have some playbooks on this. And you can Google it, find out, you know, type in Keller Williams golden letters. But basically what this is it is a letter that you're sending out to a specific neighborhoods. There's actually companies that are making money off of doing this now. But it's basically saying we are looking for homes in this specific neighborhood. You can get really personal. I've seen really cute ones where they're like, put a picture of a family and they're like, the Johnson family would love to live in your neighborhood. We just don't have any homes for sale. Have you thought of moving? So the idea here is that you're sending out hundreds of letters, and you're getting your phone to ring. So you could do, you know, call this number if you're interested in selling, and they're going to call you. So you're basically just doing it through a letter, similar to doing phone calls and door knocking. It's just in letter format. But those seem to be real links. So those are just a few ideas on here. Any thoughts on this, or any other comments, or any other ways you can think of to get sellers? Anything you've tried or come up against?
Hey, Carrie.
Yeah.
So Liz talks a lot about kind of building community. And so, you know, there's, instead of going just knocking doors and kind of having a cold call, you could maybe start a food drive or a clothing drive or some type of charity. And that's going to help you build community. You're out there with a purpose, but it's also kind of gives you a little bit of a softer sell to someone as they knock on the door. And
Yes.
if they see you're kind of out there doing that stuff, and as you like say, hey, I'm going to be doing a food drive, we're going to be picking stuff up on Saturday. Would it be okay if I got your name and number so I can remind you we're going to be coming by? Then there you can kind of maybe grow your SOI a little bit, but you know, building community. And then I think, like you said, if there's already an interest you have, then jump in there. Like say, join a bowling league or whatever your interest is. Kind of let those people know in that circle that you're selling real estate. Just kind of work what you're already doing.
Yes. I'm taking notes. I love this. I'm going to add this on here. So thank you for sharing that. I love the idea of building communities. People really do want to be part of something like that. And I love like the food drives. That actually could go right in line with door knocking too. We've definitely done that before where you'll go out one day and you'll have like cute sacks and you can leave them on the door with a note that says you're going to come back in, a week or whatever. I'm sure you've seen like Boy Scouts and other people do that. And it's just a good way to get out there, build that community, get your name out there, and get out there and talk to people. And I think people really do love, giving back. So make sure if you are passionate about something like that, that you are sharing that because people want to help you do good in the world. So I love that. I'm going to add that to our slideshow. Yes. And then the other things, I love the other thing too. Wear your badge, by the way. This is something I used to do all the time. So you guys can hold me accountable. We need to be wearing our badges. So even just out in real life, you have your badge on that says you're a realtor. You're going to pick up, people are going to be interested in finding out how's the market? Great. Are you looking to buy or sell? Right. And then you can offer your free CMA and things like that, add them to your database. But that's another thing that I think about is just not being a secret agent, getting out there, wearing your logos, wearing your badges, all those things, just so people will ask you about real estate. And that's a good way to pick up listings too. Anything else that's come to mind or any ahas with this? Okay. Oh, and I had one more on there. I actually have a few more, but farming, which is very much, we kind of talked about door knocking, making phone calls. Farming is basically doing it in a geographical area. So taking 500,000 homes, something like that, where you become the expert in that specific area. So we have a couple agents, not a lot of agents do this at a very high level, but the ones that do it at a high level, they've built whole careers out of one small area. So I'm sure you've seen signs where, #1 West Jordan realtor, they got that way because they only focused on that one area. So farming is a really good way because you can do all of these. You can do the letters, you can do the door knocking, you could create a community page for social media. Obviously, you're going to be doing a lot of open houses there. But the idea is that you're going to be the expert. Your signs are going to be popping up over and over. Your letters are going to be going out. It's just that repetition where they see you over and over and know you as that neighborhood expert. So that's a really good way to go out and get sellers as well. And you can always incorporate that community stuff in there too. Movie in the park, things like that. So farming is a really good way to pick up listings. So other things, just wanted to throw this script in here if you are new. So just letting people know that you are new in real estate. This script kind of goes through sharing your app with people, getting that out there, asking them if they want to be set up on the neighborhood smart plan. So this is just kind of a good way to do that. Also, I always like to put in here to just make sure you're asking for anybody who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. I know that's a passion of Ellie's. So if we're not talking about the word invest, they're not going to think about it either. So you could be talking about somebody at the door, hey, have you thought about selling? And they're like, no, I don't really want to sell my house. So have you thought about buying? No, I don't want to buy. And then you talk about investing. Then they start thinking their just mind opens up to something else. So they can be a good source for getting more listings because maybe they want to buy and flip homes or something like that. So you get a couple really good investors that are buying homes from you, they turn into sellers as well. So make sure you're including that in your scripting. door knocking script. So I just wanted to show you, this is Rachel Adams. She is one of the top agents within Keller Williams. And so she talks, this is just a door knocking script that she uses that I wanted to show you guys. But I'd suggest following her too. She's very big on social media. Let me see. Can you guys hear that? Did you hear her say hello?
No.
Okay, thank you. I just need to make sure that my sound is being shared. So
Rachel Adams
can you
Lee
hear her
here.
now? Did you hear her now?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking open houses. How many of you are ready to rock your open houses to the next level? And you think, I want a ton of activity. I want a big open house. And I know that when I go knock on that door, I am terrified. I don't know what they're gonna say. I don't want to bother them. So you know what? I'm not gonna knock on the door. I'll just stick it on Facebook and we'll see how it goes. If that's you, then you better tune in, because today we're talking the open house script that's going to rock your world. Okay, you guys, it is the day before open house. You are ready to do this. You're gonna door knock, you're gonna add value to these people, and guess what? You're nervous. I get it, right? Your hands are a little sweaty, you're not sure what to say. Here is the master script that's gonna make all your fear go away. All right, you knock on that door, they answer. Hey there, my name's Rachel Adams Lee with Keller Williams Realty, and I just wanted to let you know, stopping by to give you a little courtesy notice. There's actually going to be a little bit of extra traffic in your neighborhood from 12 to 4 tomorrow on Saturday because we're doing an open house. Yeah, your neighbor, they actually just listed their house with us, the Rachel Adams Group, and it's actually listed for $25,000 more than they thought it would go for, which is really exciting for them and actually good news for you. So just want to stop by, saw a little bike outside, want to make sure you have a courtesy notice, just a little bit of extra traffic in the neighborhood. Boom. Silence, and you wait. So instead, because I will tell you guys, when I started door knocking, you guys know I started my whole business door knocking 200 doors a week, doing my 3 open houses a week. It was insane, it was crazy, and yet it works, right? When I did it though, I was so nervous because I thought if I knocked on their door, I'm bothering them and I was inconveniencing them. And in fact, I realized that's not the case at all. Because if their neighbor's house is going for $25,000 more than they thought it was, then that means good news for them. That means they potentially have more equity in their home than they thought. And yet I don't want to open the door and be like, hi, do you want to buy, sell? Right? Like that's too crazy. That doesn't work for me, and that's also not my style. So instead I came up with the script that I'm just stopping by to give you a little courtesy notice. There's going to be a little extra traffic in your neighborhood from 12 to 4 on Saturday. And then they're grateful. I'm telling you, when you tell them there's a courtesy notice, it's just like, okay, you're not selling me anything. And then I do let them know their neighbor's house is selling for $25,000 more. And then I wait, I'm silent, and I let them take the conversation where they will. Sometimes they just say thank you. Sometimes they ask me more questions about the neighborhood or the neighbor's house, right? And then I ask if they've ever wondered how much their house is worth. And I'll say, you know, for totally free, I'm more than happy to just get you values of your home. I mean, obviously the market's changing and sellers are actually netting more money than they thought they were. So, you know, whether you're looking to upsize, downsize, whatever you're looking to do, you know, I'd be happy to help you. No pressure though, of course. Like, I'm really passive when I'm at that door. And I will tell you, it has changed the way we do business. Stop by and give them a courtesy notice about traffic and then wait. Okay, just wait and see what they say. Now, the other piece to this is we always have a 2-sided flyer, which I'm going to show you guys side 1, which is always just sold, right? The houses that are being sold in their neighborhood, always with a call to action, right? And then side 2 is always something of value. So this one happens to be where to watch the fireworks on the 4th of July. We also let them know, sometimes we're doing a school supply drive, right? We want them to know that we are local experts who know about the community, who give back to the community. Those of you who know me know that I'm all about the mimosas. So we have a Santa mimosa event, we have mommies and mimosas, we have Easter bunny and mimosas. We're the kind of realtors you want to hang out with. And guess what? You can be that kind of realtor too. All right, my open house fans, I hope you found value in this video and it brings wealth to you and your business and your life. I care about you. I'm here for you. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, connect with me on social media. If there's a specific script that you are looking for, I would love to be able to get that for you. Have a wonderful day.
How cute.
Yes. Isn't that cute? She's kind of one of my favorite people to follow. So what are your ahas from that? I took a couple notes to share, but I want to know what you guys picked up from that video.
I love the courtesy notice. It's so like approachable.
Yes. I love that as well. And I like how she says it calms people down. Like, oh, you're not selling anything. You're literally just giving me a courtesy notice. What else?
I'm impressed that she knocked 200 doors a week.
I wrote that down. 200 doors a week and 2 open houses a week. And I wanted to know what your thoughts were on that. Do you think it's a lot? Like, holy cow.
Sounds like a busy week, but
Yeah,
they-
very
in a
busy.
in a neighborhood, you can knock 20, 30 doors in like an hour.
Yes. So she built her whole business door knocking. That's why I like to kind of highlight her as a door knocker, but that's how she built her whole business. So she got right up there into the top 5% of all realtors, and she did it all through door knocking. So she's got some really cool door knocking videos that you could watch. But yeah, I wrote that down. 200 doors per week. Can you imagine what that would do for your business if you were doing that and talking to that many people? So just a thought if door knocking is a plan for you. Anything else that you picked up from there? I also heard a repeat of being the community expert. So that goes kind of back to farming. And I also heard giving back to the community, which really, like Marcel said, doing events in the community. So this door knocking and farming, and I mean, she's basically talking about an open house. It ties it all together. So those are all really good ways to go out there and get sellers. So just wanted to show that to you guys. Here's the script that she talks about, just the traffic, and I can get you guys that as well. And then really, we've talked a lot about, the best salespeople are the ones who are asking powerful questions. So the questions that I like to ask, and this is the script I use for anything. So if I'm wearing my name badge and somebody says you're in real estate, I say, yeah, do you have any plans to move? So I make it very conversational, but I'm asking these questions. So at the door, on the phone, doing an open house, anything, I'm going to be asking these types of motivating questions. So do you have any plans to move? How long have you lived there? So I'm trying to kind of break them down and get them to talk to me. Because typically, what's the first thing they're going to say? Do you have any plans to move? They're probably going to say no. Just like when you walk into a store and you're looking for a pair of shoes, they come up and say, "Can I help you?" You say no until you need the help, right? So how long have you lived there? So that's just getting them to talk to me a little bit more. So how long have you lived there? So they're like, I've been here 3 years. Then the next question would be, where did you move from? If they've lived there 20 years, I'm not going to say, where did you move from? But those are a couple other questions you could throw in. I would ask more like, well, what do you like about the neighborhood? Is there anything you don't like about the neighborhood? So almost like you're kind of doing a survey, but it gets them thinking about what they like. Is there anything that you could change about living here? What would it be? Or your living situation, what would it be? Just getting them thinking, because this is how you're going to turn them into a seller. And then the money question that I always ask, regardless of where I am, I get these few questions in, and then I ask them the money question, which is, if you were to move, where would you go next? If they answer this question, they have thought about moving and they could become your next seller. So if I'm asking all these questions, they're like, no, I'm not planning to move. I love it here. I wouldn't change anything about my situation. Well, if you were to move, where would you go? And they say, I just haven't thought about it. They probably haven't, and they're probably not moving. So then I would move on to, well, let me ask if there's anybody else I could help buy, sell, or invest in real estate. If they answer this question, if you were to move, where would you go next? And they're like, well, we'd go to Washington. And they're just very matter of fact. There's a reason they're thinking of that. So then the next question would be, may I ask, why is that important to you? What's in Washington? What has to happen to get you to Washington? Why are you waiting? How soon do you need to be there? If you could rate your motivation on a scale of 1 to 5, where would you be? So this way you can really figure out, are they moving in the next year? Is it something you can overcome? Is it something that you could fix? Like, oh, if we could, if we could make enough money off this house, we'd be willing to move today. Or is it something like we can't move until our kids graduate high school? There's not a lot you can do about that. So we're looking to see what is the motivation and how can we help them. So these are just a few questions that I like to have in my back pocket, memorize them all the time. I'm asking these questions. For sell by owners and expireds, those were not on my original list. I need to add those on there, but these are a really good way to go out and get sellers. These are people that are basically raising their hand and saying, I wish I could sell my house. So we need to figure out what's going on. So on an expired, what do you think stopped your home from selling? And just so you guys know, you do have access to expired and for sale by owner lists. We can get you access to those. And these would be some questions I'd be asking them. So when you're doing, expireds, how many open houses did your agent do for you? So I don't know if you guys know this, but not a lot of companies do open houses to the extent that we do. And so most of the time the answer is going to be they didn't do any, or maybe they did one. And then you're kind of planting those seeds of doubt. With a for sale by owner, how many offers have you received? And include the time frame. So I like to call for sale by owners maybe that have been listed a little bit longer. And, maybe it's been a week, like a for sale by owner that gets listed today, they're going to get calls from a lot of agents. And they're just like, no, I don't need you. I don't need you. But if you call them in a week and you're just like, oh yeah, it looks like your for sale by owner sign came up about a week ago. How many offers have you gotten? And the answer is probably none. And so you're starting to plant that seed, and you can be like, oh, no offers, huh? So you're just, talking to them about that. How many showings have you had? You haven't had any showings. So it's almost like, wait, I should have had an offer by now. I should have had a showing by now. So these are just motivating questions to get them to really start thinking. And then just offering help. How can I help you? And you can do this. Obviously, that's a good question for anybody, for SOI, open house, for sell by owner, anybody. But how can I help you? You'll hear, a script that some of us say is, what in the world can I do for you today? So we don't care if it's pick up my dry cleaning. We don't care if it's real estate related. We truly are offering help. Like, how can I help you? If there's anything I could do for you today, what would it be? And it just gets people thinking like, wow, she's not just here to, get me to twist my arm to do something. She's here to help me. And then with for sale by owners or expireds, a good question to ask is, do you know what techniques I use to get homes sold? Do you know what kind of marketing I do to get homes sold? Because the answer is no. They don't know exactly what you do. Or they're going to respond with, well, yeah, all of you guys just stick a sign in the yard and put it on the MLS, right? And then it gives you a chance to go, oh my gosh, no, we do so much more. I have some awesome techniques. When would be a good time I could come over for 10 or 15 minutes and share with you what I do? So it's a lot of these questions are either to kind of plant doubt or to give some kind of intrigue that they want you to come over and they want to talk to you more. So for sell by owners and expireds are a really good way to pick up more sellers. So any questions on those? Has anybody tried talking to a for sale by owner or an expired listing? Nobody? If you haven't, tell me why. Does it bring up thoughts of, oh my gosh, they're going to be so mean? I'm scared of them. What are your thoughts when I say for sale by owner or expired listing? No thoughts around it?
I remember when I was a for sale by owner and agents called me, I had an agent get really mad at me for not listing my home. And I thought, you don't know my situation. I don't have a lot of leverage. Like, they didn't show like they even cared when they talked to me. And so, I think as it is, most people that are for sale by owners, they're sensitive, and they're selling because they're trying to save money. So I get it.
Yep. And that's a script right in itself. So, let me ask why you're doing for sale by owner. So it sounds to me like you're trying to save money, right? Sounds to me like you're trying to net the most money you possibly can. Because at the end of the day, any commission objection, that's what it's about. And so understanding, and yeah, I don't like that agent that was rude to you. That's not nice. We're not like that. We are going to be sympathetic and empathetic and try to figure out what's going on, because that probably is the case, is they're trying to save money or make money, and we need to be able to show them how we're going to do it. 9 out of 10 for sale by owners will list with a real estate agent. So you just want to be the one who is building the relationship, who is offering that help. We're consultants at the end of the day. It's not about you listing with me today. You know what, Mr. For sale by owner, I totally appreciate that. How long are you going to do this on your own before you hire an agent? They're like, let me try it. Give me a week, give me 2 weeks. Let me see what I can do. That's fine. If they don't sell their house in the time frame that they want or for the amount that they want, I'm going to be there for when they do decide to list with an agent. So it's all about building relationships. And that agent that called you, obviously, if they called you back, you'd be like, absolutely not. I have no desire to work with you. So be patient with them. That's very important. Be sensitive. Like you said, there is a reason that they're doing this. So ask more questions, but don't be scared of them. So typically a for sale by owner and an expired, a lot of times their first pushback is going to be, I don't want to work with an agent. So you do have to be prepared with your value proposition to be able to help them understand why they would want to work with you. So I do think they can be a little more challenging, and people are kind of scared of that. But don't be. You have huge value propositions to offer. So the yes script, I do always like to remind you that people are going to say yes. So whether you're at the door, whether you're on the phone, whether your SOI is like, thank you for the CMA, I actually do want to sell a home. Be prepared for the yes. I have so many stories, and myself too, when I very first went door knocking, like my 5th door in, somebody said, yeah, I do want to move. And I about fell off the doorstep because I didn't know what to say. So I want to have you prepared with, okay, if somebody says yes, what are you going to do? Because they will say yes. So basically a script that I use is great. I look for people like yourself who have an interest in making a move. I'm going to go to work for you, keep you up to date on the market. That way, when you're ready, you know what's going on. Wouldn't that be helpful? So it's not a matter of like, just pounding that into them. I'm going to be very like, that's awesome. I look for people like you. I'm going to go to work and I want to help you. Start verifying their information depending on where you're at. If you're standing on the doorstep, obviously you don't need an address, but you probably need a phone number and an email. So whatever the situation is, use this yes script to gather information. Your cell phone number, then you can advertise your app. You can advertise that monthly neighborhood smart plan. So just make sure that you are prepared for people to say yes to you, and that you have the tools to gather information and start that follow-up with them. An appointment would be best, so you could definitely book the appointment. But if not, that's your way of getting into just starting the follow-up with them. So best objection handlers when working with sellers or buyers. Tonight we're talking about sellers. So it really is digging deeper. So if they're like, you know what, we want to move, but we're not going to be able to do it for 18 months. Well, tell me more about that. You're really trying to figure out what is actually going on. Another one, my favorite objection handler is, if I could blank, would you blank? So as an example, if you're door knocking or you're on the phone and they say, yeah, we would love to move, but we don't have a down payment. Well, if I could show you how you could purchase a home with no money down or low money down, would you be interested in moving forward? Would you be interested in finding out more information? If I could show you your home's value and show you that you do have a down payment in that, would you be interested in moving forward? So whatever they say, if I could blank, would you blank? That's a very easy and good objection handler. Another one, and this is really good because a lot of the objections are going to be the same. So get really good at saying, I don't want to pay a commission. Okay, so besides commission, is there anything else stopping you? And this question is designed to get them to tell you whatever else it is, get them to, they're asking for what they need. So they could say something like, well, I'm a little concerned about commission, but I also, we were really hoping for more of a social media marketing presence. Okay, great. So besides commission, you're looking for social media marketing. Is there anything else? So you're kind of isolating by asking this question. You can ask it more than once. You're isolating what is the actual objection so that you know where to move forward in your presentation. So get really good at asking these questions. The Facebook post I was talking about, so Facebook challenge, this is a really good way to pick up, practice your CMAs, number one, but pick up more seller leads. So, hey, Facebook friends, if you'd like a free home evaluation, message me your address and I will prepare one for you for free. So this is a challenge I like to put out to people, and just see how many people you can get to respond to this. You know, you can say it's springtime, the spring market has hit. Are you curious what your home, the home evaluation is? Send me your address. I'll give you one for free. So this is a really good way to, like I said, practice your CMAs. You want to get really, really good at this. So RPR is one system you can use within our MLS. The regular CMAs, mailing out or emailing out comps. There's a lot of different ways you can do this just to be able to kind of hold that carrot and get into their house. So the next step would be, hey, I've prepared the CMA for you. Looks like I have a good range. I'd love to stop over for 10 or 15 minutes and take a look at your house so I can see where it fits into that range. Obviously, you're going to be asking more questions like, you know, what's the purpose of you wanting to know the value of your home? I have it prepared for you. Would you like me to give you a more specific value of your home? Great. That would take, I just need to come over really quick and just get an idea of what your home looks like. So it's a really good way to get in the house and kind of book your own appointments for sellers is by offering free CMAs. And it says Facebook, you can do it on Instagram or anything else, but offer free home evaluations. That's a good way to pick up leads.
And you probably could just say anywhere in the US, and just reach out to another Keller Williams agent and ask them to do a home evaluation for your friends that aren't in Utah.
Yes.
And they could be potential referral partners for you.
Yes, you absolutely could do that. There's a lot of agents that get a lot of agent referral business. So that's a really good way to do that. You can also give them your app. You could also do the monthly neighborhood smart plan for something in a different state to kind of keep them interested. We want them to be sticky with you and your tools too. So that's a really good idea to get those out of state referrals. So great idea, Ellie. Any other thoughts or questions on kind of what we've talked about tonight? Free home evaluations, monthly neighborhood smart plans, door knocking, open houses. They're all really good ways to go out and get seller leads. Any other thoughts? These are my additional thoughts. So I always tell people, do not get attached to the outcome, just do the activities. Go where you spend your money. So think about where you spend your money on your insurance, on your property management, on your hair, on your dry clean, wherever you're spending your money. Think about networking with those people. Think of your tribe. So somebody on here, I think it was Marcel, said, whatever your interests are. So think of your tribes, so are you a hiker? Are you in hiking groups? Things like that. Where can you go and talk to people? What are your interests? Make the appointment convenient to you. So, hey, I'd love to stop over. Do not get a 0 for the day. So do something and time block that lead follow-up. Time block your prep time so that you do have some time to send out the CMAs. You have time to send out the notes. You have time to make the flyer for the door knocking. Put that into your time blocks too. So any other thoughts on seller leads?
Terry, just to follow up what we kind of talked about this morning with Jake helping me out on some lead ideas. Mm-hmm. So I just got an open house while we were on this whole Zoom thing. So,
awesome.
Start out small, I guess.
Yeah. So you're going to be doing an open house for somebody else? Or are you going to shadow, or what are you doing? So it's almost Friday. So you got time to prepare. Are you doing it for someone else?
Oops. There I am. Yeah, it's for someone else, and I have until next Saturday, so I have some prep time.
Oh, good.
But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So start out small. I guess you never know.
Yeah, that's awesome. So open houses give you a good excuse to do every single thing we talked about tonight. So good luck with that. Let me know how I can help you. My other question would be, what are you guys going to take action on from what you learned tonight? What are 1 or 2 things that you can go out and do today, tomorrow to go out and find some sellers?
I want to get really good at doing the CMA. So I'm going to start with my own properties and rentals and do
Okay.
with that and then go
Awesome.
from there.
Awesome. Love it.
I liked the CMA offer. So it was such an easy post just to do that, like on Facebook and Instagram. So I'm going to give that a whirl.
Perfect. Perfect. One more. What's one more action item you guys are going to take? Who else took some notes or some?
I'm gonna post about sellers more than buyers.
Kind of the messaging, switch it over to sellers.
Yep.
Love it. I like to write these down so I can ask you guys how you're doing on those action items. So love it. Well, any other questions or anything else I can help you guys with tonight? I appreciate you joining me. Hopefully you got some good takeaways. Tomorrow is Friday, so we will be doing the 8:30 call and then, start preparing for those open houses or whatever you're doing for the weekend. But let me know how I can help you.
Oh, I'm also gonna set up a smart plan for myself and see how it goes.
Awesome. Yes, do that. That way you can see it. You'll start getting it every month. And then for me, it was motivating. I was like, oh, I want everyone to get this. But it actually took me receiving it kind of unknowingly before I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So yes, use the smart plans on yourself. Okay, you guys, anything else? Marcel, I don't know if, oh yeah, you are still out here. Any other thoughts on sellers or anything else?
Just thank you. You've shared so much good information.
No, you did a good job.
You are welcome. Okay, you guys, have a good night. I will see you tomorrow.
Good
Okay,
night.
see ya.
Good night. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Of course. Thank you.
Bye, Terry.
Bye-bye.